Hail heroes! With this video we're going to explore actions in Cormac and the Thinning Veil. At the start of the game round, in the hero phase, when you roll up, you roll 6 custom dice and then you allocate your action cubes into the corresponding slots on the right hand side of your dashboard. In this instance, you can see that I've rolled 2 combats, 2 interacts, 1 class and 1 enemy action. So, grouping them up, I've placed 2 action cubes into the combat slot at the top of the right hand column on the dashboard. And then I've placed 2 interacts in there, which are represented by the she spirals. Then I've placed a class action in there, which is represented by the Triskelion, and then I've placed an enemy symbol in the bottom there, which represents an enemy action. Now, in most of the scenarios, you'll find that this enemy action, which must be cleared before you can spend any of the other actions, will grant the nearest enemy an action. So we would do that, and that enemy would move in closer and potentially attack us. After that, we'd be able to explore the rest of our options. Now, if there is no enemy in play, you can just clear that and begin to spend your actions normally. So, in the situation that we have here, Cormac is stood in this tile, and there is a closed treasure chest, an arch through to the next tile, and there is a trap token, which is double-sided. This is the live side, and that's a dead trap. Some actions in the game, some triggers I should say, in the game, will reset the traps, and so you'll flip them back to their live side. There are certain traps where that doesn't occur, but we'll explore that in another video. Now, Cormac could spend an interact here to search for traps, making him safe from that trap if he succeeds in the search, and the search will be designated a number or a difficulty, for example, search 2. That would mean that you would roll a hand of dice, which is all 6 dice, and you would need 2 of the sword symbols, which are successes, in order to complete that search and find the trap. If you fail, you would trigger the trap. Now, taking any other action other than drinking a potion or reading a scroll is going to trigger that trap. When it comes to the treasure chest, Cormac could use his interacts in order to try to pick the lock on the treasure chest. All chests have got a lock quality and a durability. Or he could try to use a combat to smash that chest open. And if he does so, and the contents of the chest happen to be a potion, that potion would be broken and discarded. So he would lose the benefits of that. However, if it's something else and it's not breakable, then he will gain the benefits of that as normal. So that's a gamble you might wish to take, especially if you have a character that's got greater might than he has lock-picking capability. So we'll see what Cormac decides to do here. So I think the first thing to do is spend an action, as that's an interact action, in order to search for the trap, hoping to be safe from the trap. You can see that I've got the 2 results I needed, which means that now, whilst Cormac's on this tile, he can operate with impunity without triggering that trap. So now, Cormac is going to smash the chest. He's got 5 in might, and attempting to smash a chest uses your might attribute and a combat action. Assuming that it has 2 durability, Cormac has smashed open the chest. So you flip the token to its open side, and then every chest in the game that does not have a designated content will have a table, and you will roll on the table to see what's inside the chest. So in this instant, Cormac has found an equipment card. And we can see that Cormac's got the holy water, and of course holy water is in a bottle, so he's smashed it, so he doesn't get to keep his holy water. But that's what he would have had if he had picked the lock instead. And that's the gamble that you take. Them's the breaks. Right. So now Cormac can spend his other interact to do a search of the tile. And this time he's going to search randomly for treasure. Now, that will be assigned a difficulty, search 2 for treasure, for example, in the scenario. Cormac has once again succeeded, and in this instant, we'll be putting in the search symbol into the tile, and now we know that that tile has been searched for treasure. So we're going to draw a treasure card, and Cormac's found the tarnished shield. So we'll place the tarnished shield there. That's part of his gear now, and he can use that to defend himself, which is wonderful. Now, that's ways in which interacts can be used, and you've also seen ways in which combat can be used, aside from attacking enemies. So now we're going to spend this class action to move into this tile. So all actions can be used to move, with the exception, of course, of enemy actions. Now, each time that you move from one tile to another, and there are not individual zones within this tile or within this tile. Each one is therefore a tile or a zone. Now, Cormac has used a class action to move into this tile. He still has a combat action. He could use that to move into another tile if he wished. Or if there was an enemy there, he could use it to attack the enemy. But Cormac has no enemy there, and he doesn't want to move on into an area where he might reveal one. So he's going to bank that combat for the next round. So let's assume that we do that and we're going into the next round, and we would start round 2. Because he has 1 action banked, he would now only generate 5 actions when he rolls up for the round. And you can see that we've got a combat, 2 interacts, and 2 class results. The banked combat comes across here, and we would then begin round 2. Now, sometimes when moving into a tile, you're going to randomly generate the contents of the tile, rolling on a table, and this is called a fate roll, and it ordinarily uses 2 dice. In solo, you can re-roll one of the results if you don't like it that much. However, we'll just condense this video to talking about actions. So any action can be spent to open a door, any action can be spent to close a door, any action can be spent to move from tile to tile, and there are a number of other things that any action can be used to do. For example, pick up an item that's been discarded on the floor. So there is a lot of universal applications. Any action can also be used to drink a potion. However, to read from a scroll, that would be an interact action. There are a number of skills that characters can pick up and other items that can be collected that allow other applications of these particular actions. So, for example, some warrior classes will enable you to use a class result in order to inflict a critical hit on an attack that you would make. And so you would spend the action to make it a critical hit, and then you would spend the action to make the attack. Other times, you may have an item that enables you to attack with an interact action. Ordinarily, this would be some kind of a missile weapon. So had Cormac been able to retain his holy water, he might have been able to throw that at an undead enemy and inflict damage using it as a missile weapon, and that would be an interact action or a combat action. And there are other examples like this through the game. So you're not restricted to only being able to attack with combat actions. Very often the other actions can come in there to either augment attacks or become attacks themselves. So that's actions in Cormac McCart on the Other Side of Midnight and in the Thinning Veil game system. Thank you very much.